I, uh, I actually went to school and graduated in natural resource management. Worked a couple summers for the Forest Service. Was always interested in working outside, outdoors, that kind of a job. I, you know, I wasn't sure just what I was going to do when I got out of school, but I had the opportunity to buy my uncle's farm pretty quickly after I was out of school, and just it seemed like an opportunity too good to pass up. I wanted to have a life more like what I led when I was, growing up, and to be able to raise a family kind of like I had when I was growing up. So my father, he kind of was in the 70s and 80s, seemed like 60s, 70s, and 80s. It seemed like it was they always called them the mortgage lifters, and it was a pretty good business for a lot of folks at that time to raise pigs. And he had done a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and kind of that seemed to be where he was making money. So he kind of concentrated on that. And then when I came back and started farming, we expanded the hog operation, I guess. And it's I was conventional. I did do some more buildings and that kind of thing to start with, but looked at a system. I actually went on a tour down into Missouri where a guy was doing it on pasture and was using these little huts. And so he was nice enough to do kind of a workshop with us to help us learn how to build the huts for him. And so then I had his plan. So I've been building or having built these huts that I use to farrow in, and kind of modeled. It's been I don't do things nearly like he did. He had things on fescue pasture there, and I had much more rainfall, and that didn't seem to work for me on my flat Kansas River bottom ground. So it's somewhat different than what he was doing as far as how he was finishing hogs and where they were and so forth. But I've modified it to the point where it's kind of a rotation with the crops where they're finished, and then they go into farrow on pasture. They're put in small little pens when they're weaned. It just seems like they do better in a small grouping like that. And then I train them to the hot wire, and then they move to the larger paddocks that are part of the time hogs, part of the time crops. I think farmers are very good stewards. I don't know. There's a lot of different variation in thought and in how to go about that. I have real respect for a lot of no-till type farms. I think they're probably doing the best job in a way of improving the actual soil structure and that kind of thing. Organic farms tend to use more diversified crops and rotations and things, legumes and so forth. And I think that is also an improved system. But I think traditional farms are also, a lot of them are very good in what they're trying to do, and being extremely productive with what they do. There's of course more chemical use with the no-till and with a lot of the more conventional type farms, which is kind of a downside. But I think when you look at the whole agriculture, there is a lot of trade-offs that go on. We are manipulating nature out here when we're, any farming is going to do that. And so there's, we are, like I say, doing some things that can be real problematic as far as deteriorating land. But I think as a whole, most farmers realize that in order to have good productive land and continue that, they're going to have to do things that maintain it. I just don't always know that people really realize just how how much that extra work that really takes to produce that organic crop that they're, or the organic food that they get in the store. It is well worth the cost, I think, extra for that. And I don't think our food industry sometimes, they just want to industrialize the organic too and make it cheaper and cheaper, and that's I just think people need to kind of really support the true small organic farms that are trying to produce out here something that something different that people really want. But I guess they just need to realize that it can be taken over by big companies that really aren't so dedicated to the whole principle of stewardship and environmental care of the land and that kind of thing. My concern about farming is that there's not a lot of young people getting into farming. The opportunity that I see that where people are getting in is probably the more the small niche vegetable type production, farmers market, that kind of thing. And I know that there's an awful lot of land that's going to have to shift into younger people's hands just over the next 20 or 30 years. So I think there's going to be some opportunities for farmers. I just I just don't know quite how that's all going to shake out, but I just hope that it does provide some opportunities for new young farmers to come into the system, and that they find some niche that really works for them.